Hey, what's up guys, Bajheera here. This video is going to be an overview of the 5.2 warrior changes for, of course, patch 5.2. Right now I'm on the PTR, having a look at this warrior. So far, a lot of the changes are things that I'm personally not happy about, and I think that a lot of warriors aren't going to be happy about. But just for the sake of knowing what we're up against, let's take a look at some of the changes. I'm going to roll through the talents first. There are some abilities that have been changed as well, and we'll get to those. And I'm going to be looking at this mainly from a PvP perspective, since I'm a PvPer, and that's the thing I know most about, and I can sort of envision more about how the changes will affect a warrior interested in PvP rather than a warrior interested in PvE. But anyway, that aside, let's go to the first change that we're going to find in our talent tree, at least. Juggernaut does the same thing, Double Time does the same thing. Warbringer, however, in addition to the 3-second knockdown, it also has a slow attached to it. So when you charge in there with Warbringer, you'll see not only the stun, but you'll also see the slow. And this slow will last 15 seconds in PvE and 8 seconds in PvP. So it essentially saves you a hamstring, or if you're one of the guys who uses hindering strikes and you charge right in, Mortal Strike, Heroic Strike, apply your slow, perhaps you can save up a little bit of rage, especially because you might want to be Heroic Striking as much now that it has like no use attached with Taste for Blood. But that's beside the point. Anyway, we're also going to see that Enraged Regeneration, rather than costing 60 rage, is going to be costing 30 rage base, and that's not including the no cost if enraged. It's still on 1 minute cooldown, still does exactly the same healing, but it only costs 30 rage if you're not enraged. So that's kind of neat. I still don't think it'll replace Second Wind, even though Second Wind is taking a nerf here. When we're below 35% health, rather than regenerating 3% of our total health, we're only regenerating 2 now. And the rage generation factor of it has also been nerfed from 20 seconds down to 10, so that's pretty lame as well. Impending Victory still does the same thing. Probably still not going to be taking that for PvP. We're not seeing any changes in this talent tree. Staggering Shout, Piercing Howl, and Disrupting Shout are all doing the same thing as they were before. In this tree, unfortunately we're not seeing a buff to the damage of Blade Storm, which would be pretty interesting considering the very, very, very big and depressing nerf that Shockwave is taking. The cooldown of Shockwave has been doubled. It still has the same stun, still has the same damage, but the cooldown has been doubled. There is a slight factor of if you can catch 3 things in a Shockwave, which is, I mean, maybe like if you can stun a whole team, the cooldown will only be 20 seconds, and I'm showing that here. That's still, I mean, the likelihood of stunning 3 targets in a duel or in a 2v2 arena scenario is unlikely. You can get triple stuns in 3s, and it does happen, but sometimes you just want to, stun that rogue who's tunneling your healer, and you want to try to get a peel with your Shockwave. If you do that, you're going to be facing a 40-second cooldown on your Shockwave ability. And that strikes me as a pretty depressing change. However, we will carry on, or spec Blade Storm, as we'll talk about a little bit later on when we discuss what we can do in light of these changes. Mass Spell Reflection's not changing, Safeguard's not changing, there is Vigilance, Avatar is not changing, Bloodbath is not changing. However, Stormbolt is changing a little bit. Rather than 100% weapon damage when you just chuck it at somebody, it now will deal 125% weapon damage, which I guess, I don't think a lot of people are using Stormbolt for the damage, but hey, it's a buff, right? Alright, so now we can look at some of the abilities that are being changed. If we open up our spell book here, we are going to see that, if I can cycle through, I'm not really sure which one's going to come up first. I know that, oh wait, it's prot. I'm not even spec for prot. Let me look at prot real quick. There's some sort of AP scaling is different on, what is it, Shield Barrier. Let me click over here at the nerfs that I've got. Just like an entire paragraph of nerfs that we have to sort through. Let me see. What is this stupid thing? The base damage of Shield Slam and Revenge has been increased by 150%. Awesome. But these abilities now scale approximately 10% less efficiently with attack power. Alright, so you guys can put that in your PvE calculators. Sort that out. Shield Barrier now scales approximately 10% less efficiently with attack power, so I don't think these nerfs are like gonna make you do any any poorer at PvE. I think it's just sort of scaling with the gear nerfs to keep things appropriate to the game. I don't think it's like, oh man, shield barrier's OP, let's nerf it. I think it's more of a gear change. And that argument could be made for the second wind nerf as well, except I don't know why they nerfed the rage component of it. But whatever, I'm pretty sure it's just classic Blizz nerf and warriors for no reason. But this is not a QQ video. Trying to avoid that, although I am not happy about it. But that's another story entirely. Oh, but surprisingly enough, there are some kind of cool things that we can talk about as well. Taste for Blood, although it no longer applies with Heroic Strike. Actually, before we get into the discussion about Taste for Blood, just straight up slam damage. Slam, and rather than doing like, oh wait, okay, they haven't even fixed the tooltip, unless they don't do it anymore. Slam now deals 220% weapon damage rather than just, let me see if I get some rage, rather than just 190, yeah, just straight up 190, so it's gonna hit a little harder. I honestly don't slam a whole lot, but who knows, maybe you will now. But check this out. So the way Taste for Blood works now is that anything that would give you a stack of overpower, I'm pretty sure, let me see if I'm reading this right. The way it sounds to me is that yeah, so any time that you would be getting a stack of, or one use of overpower, be it from mortal striking or your target dodging, you get 2 stacks of overpower. Okay, that's just mortal strike glyph. You get 2 stacks of overpower. So I used mortal strike twice, have not used overpower yet, and this can stack up to 5. So right now I have 5 stacks of overpower to use. Somebody ganking me here? What the hell? Oh dear, we've got a very large horde battalion here. No plus, I'm trying to make a video. But regardless, my keybinds are really weird in this character, so I'm not very confident in my PvP. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, I've got, like, I had 5 stacks of overpower to use. Now I've got, you know, nothing. But anyway, anytime a target dodges or uses mortal strike, you get 2 stacks of overpower. So you can conceivably stack up your overpower to, what, 5? So if you wanted to, you could pop cooldowns and unload all of your overpowers on somebody at once. So that's kind of neat. If any of you guys have Dolby, you should probably check it, because that was probably yours, right? I don't know if that happens to you guys. You guys watch a video and some of these like Skype goes off and you want to check your Skype. No, that was mine. I'm pretty confident. But anyway, that's pretty much the warrior changes in a nutshell. How this might affect you. Since Shockwave is being nerfed, and that stun was such a big part of our arsenal as a warrior, one of the things you might consider doing is becoming Stunbot Warrior. I like to call this the Rec spec, because I see Recful playing this a lot. It's where you take your Warbringer, your Shockwave, and Stormbolt. So you have 3 very powerful stuns at your disposal, Warbringer being the shortest cooldown of them all. But, I mean, if you've got 3 of them, you can charge in, you can Shockwave, and then you can Stormbolt either the same target or, you know, somebody else. If you wanted to charge in and Shockwave a DPS with your 7 seconds of stun, you can Stormbolt, you know, maybe the healer. Or you can charge, if you wanted to swap to the healer, you can CC one of the DPS who might be able to help that healer out. If it's a Shadow Priest and you're concerned about off-healing, you can stun the DPS, put the healer into 7 seconds of stun and conceivably kill them in that. Or one of the neat things you can do, I don't even know where Staggering Shout is on my bar right now, F10, Jesus. Let me change that. I'll put it to 5 just because that's where it is normally. So, you run in, say you're hitting a DPS here. Hit the DPS, you want to root this DPS with a hamstring, root, and then you wanted to stun the healer and switch to the healer with, you know, a Stormbolt and Shockwave. So you have lots of interesting options here. Or if you didn't even, I charged it on this guy, which it would make more sense to have a switch be this way. You're hitting a DPS. Say you had your root up, because I don't have it up right now, so I just used it. You can hamstring the DPS, root that DPS, switch to the healer with your charge. I don't have Shockwave now because I just use it, but use your Shockwave on the healer. Then chuck your Stormbolt on that DPS that you rooted previously. So then you have both teammates in 7 or 8 seconds of CC. You have them in a 5-second root, 8-second Stormbolt, or a 3-second Stormbolt, which makes 8 seconds of CC. You charge the healer, you know, you take them into the 3-second Warbringer stun, 4-second Shockwave stun. That's a pretty good amount of CC, and then you can fear either target and continue your damage on either target if you wanted to. So that's a really CC intensive spec as a warrior, which is still pretty cool. You could, if you wanted to, I'm not sure how well this would work, you could go into the Cataclysm spec where you take Juggernaut and Blade Storm and Stormbolt, so you still got your throwdown, you still got your Juggernaut stun, I mean just your regular old charge stun on 12-second cooldown, but you have Blade Storm again. I'm not sure how well that would work, but it's a kind of a funny idea. And I think that maybe for RBGs, I'm not sure how this would affect warriors. I feel like RBGs, you're more likely to get a 3-person Shockwave in an RBG scenario, but who knows. Anyway, guys, that's pretty much the changes in a nutshell for warriors. A lot of things, I mean, there are things we can work with, but honestly, not a whole lot's going to change with what we've got so far. I mean, this little CC combo with the Warbringer and Shockwave and Stormbolt and Root, we've already got that. It's just that Shockwave's worse now. But I think warriors are still going to be strong. We've got nothing to worry about. I think that the way that Mortal Strike and Overpower work together now is pretty neat. The fact that Overpower just stacks up, I think it's pretty cool. Unfortunately, I think that warriors are going to be using this in such a way that it'll probably get nerfed a little bit later on. So use it while it lasts, because that's pretty much the motto for all of our cool stuff that we get. Anyway, before I get too angry at Blizzard, I should probably wrap this video up. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and have fun in 5.2, my warrior brothers. Peace!